Hey everybody, Brad Souza here, CTO at AVI Systems, and we're going to talk for the next 5 minutes about how to win at IT leadership and flip the switch to add capacity to your existing UC infrastructure, even amongst COVID-19. So I'm obviously recording this message from my house because that's where we all work these days, and that's put a strain on everybody's UC infrastructure. So we get a lot of requests at AVI around the idea of, is there a switch I can flip? And by doing that, add almost instant capacity to my UC infrastructure. And the answer, quite honestly, is yes. But there's some things we want to keep in mind that'll help us streamline the process and move quickly to add capacity to your existing UC infrastructure. The first thing I want to tell you is that getting the licenses is actually the easy part. Even if they're free licenses, there's many organizations that are providing free licenses, especially amongst COVID-19 and trying to add capacity and serve their customers better. But in this particular case, getting access to the licenses is probably the easier part. There's some additional things that we should be thinking about to make this happen very smoothly and streamline the process. The first is we want to have an idea around what UC infrastructure we want to use. Now that might sound pretty obvious, but the reality is that over 2/3 of AVI's enterprise customers, and statistically over 80% of all enterprise accounts, have 2 or more UC infrastructures operating inside their firewall or operating as part of their official UC infrastructure. And so taking time to look at what infrastructure we want to add capacity to is really important. And when we do that assessment, we also want to consider what is the available capacity and how easy is it to access licenses and apply those licenses to that particular infrastructure. So we're seeing a lot of cloud-based UC services really struggling to keep up with demand. And so as we look at the infrastructure options that are available to you, we want to make the decision around where we want to add capacity, not only based upon our favored UC architecture, but also based upon what UC architectures have expandable cloud services and demand right away. The second thing I want to talk about is this idea of bursting. So many UC architectures, especially cloud infrastructures today, have what's called bursting integrated into their architecture. It's this idea that while I have a certain set of licenses, I'm allowed for short periods to exceed those licenses or burst beyond my license capacity. And that provides elasticity by design into the UC architecture that you might have. So taking a look at what's the capacity of what cloud service and do I have bursting available, that will help us identify what the right action is to quote unquote flip the switch and get you some immediate relief and capacity right away. Once we've done that and relieved the immediate and urgent sense of capacity, the next thing we would encourage you to do is sit down and work through an optimization and integration strategy. So the idea here might be that I have a Microsoft Teams infrastructure, but I also might have maybe a Zoom infrastructure. What do I want to do to integrate those together and optimize performance across multiple ecosystems? Or maybe I've got Cisco WebEx and I want to use that alongside of, I don't know, Zoom or some other cloud infrastructure. What can I do to create an integrated approach and optimize all of my licenses together? That's really the second thing that we want to think about. And that might happen, that conversation might happen with your AVI UC team maybe a week or two after we've kind of flipped the switch, so to speak. And then the third thing we want to do is we want to begin maybe a few weeks down the road to think about what the new normal is going to look like. What licenses do we want to keep? What capacity do we really need to maintain over the next several months or a year? And what do we want to do about integrating that in with maybe some on-site or on-prem infrastructure and across multiple cloud ecosystems? So all of this works together to create a quick solution for you. And if we start with the end in mind, that's going to give us the opportunity to streamline those licenses, find the lowest cost deployment and impact to your organization, and give you the right capacity at the right time that you need it. So how do you get started with all of this? Well, I'd start by going to avisystems.com and clicking on Contact Me or Contact Us, and that will give you the opportunity to start the conversation. Or if you already work with AVI Systems, reach out to your AVI Systems account manager, and they will bring in the UC practice and start getting that discussion right away. I look forward to continuing this conversation with you and providing you some support, especially in this time with COVID-19. Thank you.